Welcome everybody to Stringstastic. You're with me, Lorraine. I'm hosting this, and with me, I've got three wonderful and now four wonderful authors with me. We've got Karen Kyriakou from Melbourne in Australia. We've got Glory Saint Germain from Canada. We've got Laurie, who's originally from Finland and now in Greece.
Hello.
And
Hello.
we are waiting for Trevor Addison, who will be up in a couple of seconds. And he is based in Sydney, Australia as well. So we're looking in regards to book publishing and how our journey came about in this. I've gotten a lot of questions in regards to this from musicians and from non-musicians across the globe. And it's a journey that I think all of us can relate to in regards to, our experience in the self-publishing industry, in, broadening our book publishing and things like that. So we'll welcome Trevor.
Hi, guys.
Hello, Trevor.
Trevor,
Hi.
I'm just introducing everyone, and we're live on Stringstastic Facebook page. So first, I'll just very briefly go through everyone, and that would share in regards to the links to their websites. So you are with us today. We'll be talking about how we started, why we do it, what is our drive, where to start, and so much more into it. So first is Karen. Let me know if you can see all of this, guys. Okay, so Karen's company is in Peace Publishing. I've got some notes here. I'm gonna just make it brief. If you do want to check us out in detail, you're more than welcome to through our website. I think all of us would have more detailed information on ourselves. Now, Karen's background, she mentioned that she has been writing since 11 years old. I'm not going to calculate in regards to how old Karen is, but boy, wow. Like that's really interesting in regards to her publishing. I think she said in a family newspaper. So that's brilliant. She did mention that her first string orchestra piece was back in 2004. And she is an educator, book author, composer, arranger, and she specializes in music education from kindergarten level to tertiary level. She does present and runs workshops, and she's been doing that for many years. I think, is it 25 years, Karen?
Let's just say that.
Give and take. Give and take. Her specialty, I think one of her specialty is working with children in need and special needs, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm just kind of brisking through this. I met Karen back in the day when I first started out in Perth in our string conference. So it's really great to have her on board. She is also currently a committee member of the Strings Teachers Association in Victoria. So very great to have her here. And that's her website, guys, if you want to check her out. Now, the next person we have is Trevor. Trevor, let me see, where's Trevor? I'm going to breeze through. Has been published for about more than 7 years, I think.
Yep, that's about right.
Yep, been teaching for more than 30 years.
Yep.
Give and take. He's an educator, has been a director or head of strings in both the UK and Australia, and he's also a composer and arranger. That is his website, guys. And then just check out his materials. He does have free audios and free samples on his website, so great help there. We've got Laurie all the way from Finland, although he is currently in Greece. So going back to Trevor, I met Trevor on the committee, on the OSTA committee, the Strings Association committee in New South Wales a couple of years ago, and we've been in contact since. Laurie is a very interesting one. Laurie actually found me way before we met, and then we just met by random at a European string conference in Cremona a couple of years ago, just by chance. I'm like, hang on, this name looks familiar. And then we've been in touch since. So Laurie, he has been working on violin, viola, and orchestra stuff. He's got books that he can share with you all. I love his materials. He's been doing videos on Insta, I think, and YouTube. So there's backing tracks. Same with Trevor. Trevor also has backing tracks on his website, which will be helpful. Currently, Laurie is the vice president of the Strings Teachers Association in Finland. And he's also members with the Finnish Viola Society. Have I covered that?
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and then moving across the globe, we have Glory Saint Germain in Canada. Now, Glory is also another, like, I find life really interesting. I meet you guys in all different situations, and it's really brilliant. So Glory, I actually have not met her in person. I met her online on the Canadian Music Conference, if I'm not mistaken. We've been in contact since, and she's been great help. So Glory actually kind of does what I do, but she's got many years of experience, under her belt. She runs courses that helps teachers globally. She also has music theory books, which is quite similar to me. However, mine is more string based and hers is more the piano based or the novel based, which you can use. She has over 50 books that she's published. She's also an educator, author, and like I said, she's a coach. If you want to check out her bio and her stuff, you can by all means check her out on her website. That's her website link. And we've got me, last and not least. I am Lorraine Chai. If you don't know me already, I'm originally from Malaysia, now in Australia. I have to write my own notes about myself because it's just too much to write about. So I have been teaching for over 20 years. Well, yes, I do look young, but yes, I have been teaching for over 20 years. I've been teaching since I was a teenager. It's because mom's a musician and I've been helping her, and I've run free lessons from church and kind of thing. So that's where I started teaching. I've been publishing for about 5 years and a bit. My books are available worldwide. I incorporate different teaching methods, which gives teachers the freedom of using the materials, whether or not in a private lesson or a group setting. And I'm currently a vice president of the Strings Association in New South Wales. So there you guys have it. It's our background. And if you are interested, just check out our website for more details on ourselves. So let's get to the pressing question. The pressing question is, let's bring out my notes. So how did we start, or why did we start? I'm going to have Karen start first.
I think I really wish you didn't ask me first because I'm so interested in everybody else. Anyway, I have too many projects at all the time. And so I often have things that I want to do. I don't follow them through as well as I'd like to. So I started by accident, like everything else that happens in my life is just like one misdirection turns into this amazing opportunity. So I was playing in a band. I was playing in a world music, a Balkan band actually. And I started writing a lot of Balkan tunes. I was really into this kind of music and this style of music. And I wrote some tunes. I was really proud of them. I thought they were great. And I thought, why don't I just arrange them for string orchestra? I reckon my students would love it. And that's what happened. I just rearranged things that I'd written for another reason, upcycled to string orchestra. And then I had all this repertoire. And my kids really liked it, but I didn't really know what to do with it because at that point, I was just writing it for my students. And then I thought, well, they're quite good. I thought they were quite good. And then I met Bob Phillips from Alfred Publishing at a conference, and he really liked them. And so he took them, which was amazing. And I thought that was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be a publisher. And then 3 minutes later, the global financial crisis happened. And that was the end of that story. And I was like, oh, well, and then I got distracted and just started doing other things. And I've only recently come back to it. I wrote a textbook actually instead. I started writing. I'm really into teacher training and education and inclusive education. And so I wrote the book for teachers because that's the gap, right? There's a lot of amazing composers out there and I think that they're amazing and there's lots to be said and that's already been said. And so I decided that I was going to write this teacher book and it was going to be the book that I wish my teachers had when they were teaching me. And so I wrote it. It's called Strings Together. It took me way too long to write it because I'd made every mistake you could possibly make.
As
as we do. And then and 20 million rewrites as well to try and work out, because I'm very good at writing essays, but how to write a lesson plan that other people, because I wrote it and then I gave it to other people and they're going, what are you saying? So it was sort of like by accident, but I ended up writing things that I wish that I was playing when I was a kid, or things that I wish my teachers had when they were teaching me. So that's kind of, because I like to learn. I'm very creative. I like to learn things orally. I like to learn things. I like to make up music. I used to get in trouble for making up music and wasting time and things in violin lessons. So I just, I kind of write these kind of resources. So that's how I got into it, by like everything else I do, by accident. Happy accident. Yeah.
No, I think most of us can relate. Like, for myself, I was constantly writing theory stuff in the strings point of view on the piece of paper, and it was like every single student. I thought, okay, this is time wasting, and it changed to photocopying. I'm like, why am I wasting my money in photocopying materials? And then they lose the sheets. So then it evolved to actually having the book and testing it out on different age group. And then on top of that, then, trying to find the right language, as you said, Karen, so that they can understand, so that teachers can understand. And as you said, Karen, it's like, for my books, it's interactive learning. It's something that kids can, have fun doing. And it's things that we don't have back in the day. Like everything back in the day is quite boring and straightforward. So it's making learning fun. And like you said, it's by accident. And I think for me, it's like something that I wanted to do personally for my kids and for my students. Yeah. And I think, they can learn in a much more pleasant environment comparatively to when we had back then. And like you said as well, I wish that we had those kind of materials available back in the day.
I don't want it to make it sound like it was haphazard though. Like it was really about identifying a need.
Absolutely.
And so I think I'll just do it. Wasn't flippant. It was just like, here's this thing, and it's been really hard to sell it because people don't pop it into a category. It doesn't have a category in a shop.
So like, there's not much music theory for strings around available, so that's why I created it. And then it's having people aware that there is a string theory, and in this day and age you don't have students that learn like piano first and then violin. You have students that go straight into violin or viola or cello. So that was why the theory books for me instead. Back in the day, it's always piano first and then strings after. So it's just working in regards to what we have now. Okay, so let's divert to Trevor.
Hi guys. First of all, thanks Lorraine for inviting me to this. This is a really great idea. And I can obviously, we've got some very passionate people here, which is great. I've just got to say, Lorraine, you're one of the most passionate people in music I've ever met. And I'm always, when I first met you, I thought, yeah, great to meet Lorraine, string person. Then I find you branch out in all different directions. You like cover everything that is to do with music, specifically strings and theory. But your passion is great, and I haven't met many people like you in the world, so fantastic.
Thank you. Now this is Trevor's books. I have copies of them.
Yeah, right. So my journey through this is it's taken very different pathways. When I first started teaching back in London, well, first of all, I was in the profession. I was playing in the symphony orchestras, English National Opera, and purely professionally based. And then I always wanted to teach, so I stepped into teaching quite quickly after a few years of being in the profession to run concurrently with the teaching. So I was placed in this junior school with a headmaster who was a musician, a very passionate musician as a headmaster. And he says, I want to get my nursery going, which would be kindies and year ones and year twos, in an orchestra. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I, being straight into it first time, rang around my colleagues, guys, if you got any material for a kindy orchestra? No, it doesn't exist, sorry. So I did all the traipsing around to the music shops, and sure enough, nothing. There were a few educational things with pizzicatos starting, I think there were things called open string pieces, and really being in the profession, I probably realized that wasn't the way to go. I wanted kids playing straight away, using all fingers as a unit rather than doing one by one, and using the bow at the same time, no pizzicato. no remedial bow strokes. So that's no remedial bow holes. So that's where I was coming from, and I couldn't find anything anywhere. So I set to find out what was pretty close, find the best of the best what people were doing. And I invariably found it wasn't specifically on the shelf, but it was my colleagues that were writing kids in. So I set to doing that myself. And I found myself writing non-stop, trying to create these pieces for little kids of 5 years of age that could take it in, finding the bow hold in an easy fashion, straight away, and using notation, not using rests, not using pizzicatos, but using crotchets, minims, on all strings, getting them playing immediately, trying to get that brain functioning in what music's all about, not taking the remedial pathways.
Because kids want to play, and at kindy.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you don't get them playing immediately, you lose them. And that's what I found out very quickly. So they had to be playing. They had to have good audio accompaniments for parents to operate. So this happened, the germ of it, about 30 odd years ago. Obviously, there was no computer technology for me. It was all handwritten, photocopying on basic photocopiers in that days. It was really hard. So there was no publishing involved. It was all for me. But I did find out I was building this amazing library of educational string music. And it wasn't really until I came to Australia, where I married an Australian girl, so I had to move to Australia. She wasn't willing to live in London for obvious reasons. So I knew that the profession was out of it. Look, I'd played in Covent Garden, English National Opera, all the great stages. Coming to Australia was a bit of a shock. I had 50 theatres in London on every street corner. I came to Australia, there was one. I had a few friends playing in there, but I decided family life, I'd turn to teaching full time. And luckily I got some really good jobs. I went to Sydney Grammar, Ascom, Shaw. I eventually arrived at head of strings at King's, where I was for 10 years. I've actually got my own string academy now. And Lorraine, this is day one. This is the
brilliant.
I'm in. Yeah. I've got some I've got some fabulous rooms in the Charles Sturt University. And this is day one. So I'm branching out on my own, using all my own material. Right. So I landed in Australia. Thanks. Yeah. So that's the way I was going to go. And I did meet this passionate person, Lorraine, and I knew it could be done. So I set to work in putting it all together on a laptop in a format to be published. And I got a few publishers interested, and I got one. And what Lorraine was holding up was what this publisher was going to do. Great glossy cover, fantastic paper inside. You know, I always write no clutter, no writing, so the kids look at the notes straight away and it goes into the heads. The shops were telling me, right, we can only sell this for $89 a go. And I thought, no one's going to buy that. And they wouldn't sell it for any less.
Mind you, people, that everything in Australia is very expensive.
And it wasn't my idea to make money. It was the idea to get this new way of thinking with little kids out there. So I knew I had to go on my own. So first step, I bought these are the ridiculous things you do when the drive is there. I bought this printing machine. Well, I hired this printing machine in a room in my house, started to print. And I came out with exactly what could be done at the shops, and it could be done a lot cheaper. Went back to the shops. Do you know what? Still $89. They weren't willing to sell it for any less. And they were going to take, I don't know if you've experienced this, Lorraine, but they were probably taking $60 and I was getting a small amount back. So then I joined forces with a friend at my school to go online to download And that's the way I go now. It can be downloaded totally in that format. You haven't got a glossy color, but the teachers don't want it. They just want the dots on the paper, and they can download it for $6 now, $6.99. That's worldwide. I've got a really good site. Someone showed me how to really work Google. I'm on page 1 every time they key in beginner string ensemble music. I'm there on page 1, and it does sell non-stop. And my outgoings, 0. My outgoings are 0. Once you've uploaded, you don't do anything. So that's where I'm at now, really happy. And I've combined that YSP now with a String Academy, and I'm going off on this new step and really happy. And I'll need your help, Lorraine, at some stage. It's all getting out of hand.
Of course, when I can, of course.
Yeah,
I'm
so that's
always
my
there.
journey, guys. And I've reached a moment where really happy, and it's really worked out.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant.
So-
Like the way we change things and the way
Yeah.
we look into things in regards to when we first started. Like for me, it took 7 years to get it organized. I wasn't aware that there were barcodes and ISBN and all these things
Yeah.
and registration. And I was like, the moment I stepped into it, I'm like, nah, there's no backing out now because I started this journey. So for me, it's 7 years, drawings and stuff like that.
Well,
I know.
Yeah, I got the barcodes and everything.
Yeah.
It looked great. And you know, I keep those barcodes in the download, but they don't mean anything. But it looks really good, you know, with the barcode on the back.
It does. Now, before we move on to the next person, I noticed there's a couple of people that are viewing live. So if you're viewing live, then just key in at the bottom #live and mention where you're from. If you're watching this on replay, type in #replay and then just type in where you're watching this from. So let's not waste any more time. We're going to get into Laurie. Now, Laurie's got these fantastic books here. Whoops, that's a bit. I think that's one. I'm supposed to have one that's on violin, but it's somewhere around. Laurie actually draws his own characters, which is really amazing. Like I had to get people to draw them for me because I absolutely have no time. But Laurie does his own drawings and everything on his own. So yeah, Laurie, how did you come about in starting your journey as an author?
Yeah, I tried to make it brief, and I would say, yeah, congratulations to Trevor. It sounds amazing that you get everything working. It's so inspirational to hear everybody's stories. And thanks, Lorraine, for asking me to join. I try to make, it's really a long story. I try to make it short because, yeah. Anyway, it started.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning for
Yeah.
Laurie.
Yeah.
So it's great to have him on board.
I never had the idea to start writing books. I really never wanted to be an author, but when I'm hearing your stories, it just relates to me. So I mean, the echo is here. So it started with rehearsal. I'm working in a music school, and I always had around 23, 25 students, maybe. A couple of string orchestras, different string ensembles. And then we had organized a beautiful rehearsal with pianists, and one of my students that was a little bit or quite far already, and we couldn't find the piano part. So after half an hour searching, we couldn't find it, and everybody went home.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
And then I was thinking that, okay, I get paid for this. Could we do something better? And I started to go through all the material. Yeah, first of all, of course, searching for the missing piano part, but to go through all the material I have been using with my students. And then I started to put only the best pieces that my students felt very, very motivated about in the same place. We have a different, probably a little bit different system in Finland, how it goes with the grades, but I will just say like grade 1, grade 2 means that you are shifting already, grade 3 means that you have double stops, grade 4 means that you are into a little bit of bigger concertinos maybe, grade 5 is already that you play whole sonatas. So I tried to organize all the music. And when I put the material together, I realized that there is missing many things. And I started my teaching career like 30 years ago with Kaiser, with Wolfart, with Masas, with Kreutzer etudes. But my students never really liked them. So yeah, like everybody was saying before, I started.
It's whatever is needed, I think. We think that it's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was following what my students asked me to do. And then I started to make my own etudes, for example. And just to tell one example, when we have, we used to have a lot of examinations with the violin. Nowadays, everything is much more relaxed and people don't need to do so many examinations in such an old classical way anymore, which is really good. But when they were still obliged to do these examinations, they didn't want to play alone, and I couldn't find really nice etudes for 2 players. So I took the etudes that I was still using and just made a second voice or a piano accompaniment, so they could perform it together and they could laugh together. We could have rehearsals together. They could teach each other together. So yeah, this is basically my story, how I started. And just a small anecdote. First, I thought it's going to take me 1 weekend. Then it was 1 month. Then I was doing it for 1 year. And now I've been working with violin friends for 8 years. And it's a never ending story.
That's right. It's a never ending. Like, I'm supposed to be finishing my grade 3 book 2 months ago, and it's still on the works. It's just a lot to do, I think, on top of everything, like my mentorship program and face-to-face teaching and online teaching and getting ready for the year and everything. So yeah, it does take a long time, guys. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a lot to think about in regards to where you want it, if you want to be self-published, if you want to have someone on board on it. For me, I didn't have anyone that's interested at that time. So that's why I moved on to self-publishing. And now it's in demand. Like, people are like, oh, these are the kind of resources that we want and we need. And that's the thing, I think, with all of us is we started writing, we started doing the things that we do is because we see the need of it in that moment. And it's just, I think we have our kids in mind, and we want to share this out, and we want to make life easier for people in this generation, I think, rather than people in the generation back then. Probably our stuff will change down the road, like many years to come. But yeah, okay. So moving on to Glory. Glory, let's share, how did this whole journey start for you?
Well, it's so interesting, and thank you so much, Lorraine, for organizing this wonderful conversation. I'm honored to be in this group of authors and composers and musicians. And what's interesting is I really resonate with Karen and Trevor and Laurie, and of course yourself. I've written over 50 books in ultimate music theory, and I started out of frustration of not being able to find anything, which is what the stories have been here. And in my research, I'm also a researcher, I realized that there's books that can be detrimental to your learning because they're confusing. And even what Trevor said, let's simplify it, the KISS method, keep it super simple. So in my research, I realized that there are certain things that help students learn faster. So I realized if there's a square box and if there's indentation and all these little details to help students learn and to make it applicable. So just as yourself, Lorraine, with strings, and it's funny because my mother played the violin. And if you look at the book covers, you'll notice there's a violin on the front cover in honor of my mother. And I realized that same thing, worksheets to just get my students started, and worksheets turned into workbooks. And very much like Laurie, who said, oh, I thought I would just get started. And the next thing you know, it's writing. But it took several years to write the Ultimate Music Theory series. I remember 2020, I think I wrote over 50, I did 20 books that year. So needless to say, many times it was writing all night and into the next day because it's so time consuming, especially when you're implementing Finale and you need to use all of those online tools. And I know we're getting into another conversation with the whole publishing aspect, but I really want to encourage those that are listening to say, just get started, because there is not only great value in what you do and how you can help other people learn music as a composer, as a theory expert, which is my area of expertise, is along with Lorraine. And but I think it's just important, and you take so much pride in it. And there are so many opportunities now to be self-published and I'm happy to help anyone that's interested in learning more. You can, check out our website at ultimatemusictheory.com. I work as a coach as well, but I think the journey is one that I'm passionate about. I know all of you are. I'm a classically trained musician and wannabe jazz musician, so there's lots out there. But I've been teaching for more years than I care to say out loud. But I think my passion now is teaching teachers how to grow their music business and help them, whether they choose to be published. And I know Lorraine has reached out and said, what about this and what about that? And I am all about just sharing information. I mean, the world is just such a wonderful place if we just share our ideas and be an open book and help others. And that's really what my passion is education and helping publishers and musicians and educators grow their music teaching businesses. So that's why I do what I do.
Thank you. Absolutely. Like when I first started, it was really difficult for me being young and being new in the industry. And at that point, I didn't have I would reach out to people that have been published that I know of. And it was a lot about, no, it took me a lot of effort to do this. I don't really want to tell you my secret. So fair enough. I get it from their perspective, but where I'm sitting at the moment, as you said, Glory, it's more about, sharing what we find and making the journey simpler. Like in this day and age, it's easier. Back when I first started, I had to print out thousands and thousands of books to make it worthwhile, the printing cost and things like that. And where now you don't actually have to print out that many copies to get started. You can have it at an affordable price if you want to be self-published.
Yeah. And Google is your friend. So if you don't know how to do something, start with Google. But like you said, Lorraine, if there is someone who says, well, I'm not going to tell you that, then just go find someone who's willing to share, because I have been blessed with great mentors in my business. And I know we're going to talk deeper about publishing, whether you want to go to retail, whether you want to be download as Trevor is, or whether you want to be physical books and retailers. There's many different opportunities. I'm grateful that I have an opportunity to be a global company, and we do all of the above. We're in retailers, we do downloads, we do physical books, many different avenues, but just reach out because the world is bountiful. There's no limitations to what you can do as an author. Just get started. And last year I did over 5 The Power of Why Musicians book, which is a collaboration of authors and composers. And it was a great honor to collaborate with, 125 people from around the world to share their expertise. So it's really fun to publish.
In an extent, yes, it is fun to publish. I mean, it is a journey. Yeah, I mean, the start of it's tricky, but when we get into that and it gets easier and easier, I think Gloria, you mentioned about Finale and all these things. For me, I use InDesign, and now I'm starting to use Finale as well. But initially I had someone that was doing all that for me, but I found it quite tedious because then I had to correct them consistently.
Yes.
So it's getting the right people, like whether or not you want to publish a music book or just a standard book itself.
Yes.
Like Glory said, just Google it first or YouTube it, and then if you got any questions, reach out to us. We are happy to help. I mean, for me, it's a journey where if there's an easier way, and if I could have met someone at that time that could have told me, this is the right direction, and this is what you should be doing it now. This is where you should be going there, and this is what these are the kind of people that you should be in touch with, and that would have helped me a lot in my journey. But yeah, no, it's it's fun. As Glory said, it's been fun. It's been fun. So for me, my books are also global as Glory. I have my books available on Amazon itself. I've got a distributor in Southeast Asia who's handling that for me. So that's brilliant. Like she approached me. Initially, I had Trinity College London doing that for me. And now she's taken over. So that's a big help. I've just launched my books in the US and Canada last year, and Glory's been great help in that area because I'm not actually in that area. So that's been great help. And Laurie mentioned about Amazon. So that was not available in Australia at that time when Laurie mentioned it, but now it's available. So now my books are also available in Europe as well. So, there's many platforms that we can do. And I'll just say Glory mentioned Ingram Spark.
Yes.
Ingram Spark is a big help for me, although they can be quite tedious. That's something that you guys can also look into. I don't know about the rest of you, but what have you got to say in regards to how you have your books out there? Like I know Trevor has his online now, so which is fantastic. He doesn't have to do much, but see.
Absolutely. Look, I do lead a busy life in teaching. Anyway, since being Australia, I decided to go down the teaching path. And I'm one of these 7-day-a-week guys that I've always worked. Absolutely love it. I teach everyone from kindy right the way through to a couple of moms actually on the violin as well. I do take a few kids with broken wings. I've got an autistic kid and a lot on the spectrum. It's like, who isn't on the spectrum these days where when they come for violin lessons? It's almost therapy these days. So in the end, I really did have to find an easy way of publishing. I do write non-stop. So for me, just to write the material online with Sibelius. Sibelius is the platform I use. It's absolutely ideal for me. I can generate all the audios now with Note Performer. I used to have live audios done, do them live, then upload them. But now I just use Note Performer. It's almost the same as listening to live reproductions. So I can have the thought of what I'm going to do, go to Sibelius, do everything. It could be done within hours. It's not because I'm very busy, but I upload it and leave it. And that's it. And I think there's probably over 40 publications on there and probably about another 12 waiting to go up in line when I've got a little bit of time just to upload them. But I find this technology absolutely amazing. And I was introduced to it by an IT friend that worked in one of the schools. I thought it was just magic when his fingers would go to the keyboard. It was like miracles would happen. But now I can do it. It's easy. You just got to know which buttons to press. So that's me. And I love it. It's a great feeling that you can get this artistic work done, educational. It's for great. You put it up and you find it being downloaded the next day in, I get schools in Alaska doing it. I've told Lorraine about this. They email me and show the summer day piece, and they show me the landscape of snow as they're playing. It's just a fantastic feeling. Yep.
It is. Laurie, what about yourself? Like, how do you have your books around besides Amazon?
It's a combination. It's a combination of everything. And just commenting to Trevor that, do you know that there used to be a Sibelius champagne also? But
oh, really?
It's,
yeah, I've been using the wrong Sibelius, obviously.
But it's a combination. I have music, shops that sell music books in Finland. Yeah, retailers in Finland, Sweden, and Norway at the moment. There's some music, obviously, from Scandinavia, because I thought it's nice to, once I got them out, I thought it's nice to present some music, from where I come from. but that's it. Then in other countries, it's basically through Amazon. But when you have this system on Amazon, you can click there that there's expanded distribution. And then basically all, like Barnes and Noble, for example, who do retail business on, yeah, there's many people know already what I'm talking about. They are, it's a big, there's lots of shops who sell your books. So basically it's very easy to get it going. The thing, of course, is that if you don't have a big marketing budget, buying books on Amazon, let's say, I would say, I don't know exactly, but I would say maybe there's 1,000 of them, and how to get up in the results. That's the thing we have to try to get our brain to work, that how to do this. But I see the future also, that everything is going to be downloadable, like Trevor said, that if let's say another conductor in music school wants to get really simple, really good working music for his or her string orchestra, they don't really need this printed books. So I see the future in downloadable sheet music, and that's what I'm trying to do also now with my web pages. But yeah, it's really interesting to hear everybody's story, because I've been working all my life in music and having so many concerts and writing so much music and arranging so much music and composing music. But to start selling the things that I've been doing during 30 years, I'm a novice to this. So I'm all ears. And just a quick note that I went through to everybody's website today, and I have learned so much already from each one of you. It's really, really inspiring. So if there's some people who are watching this broadcast and thinking about that, should they start publishing, my wish is to talk with colleagues and to examine what you find already, because nobody of us, we cannot do this alone. We need each other's help, and that's something wonderful in Greece. There's a word called symphony, and I'm sure everybody has heard it. This is my question: what does it really mean?
My guess, as a Greek person, would be something that would, and I don't know, because I was saying before, my Greek is 0, except for food and rude words. But I would imagine the word symphony would mean something like literally where the bigness, togetherness, harmony without being about music, togetherness. Is it that?
Kyriakou ehis symphonon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grandma would be proud.
Yeah, it's actually, symphony means that we share the same idea together. So I would share your idea and you would share it, and we would put the same idea together between us, and then we share together this idea.
Can I make a comment about something Lorraine said earlier, which was about people not wanting to share? And this is a very Australian thing that happens here, because we're a very, very small community relative to what's happening in Northern America and in Europe, of course. But the problem with this attitude is that we keep things very isolated and we don't build upon the knowledge that we all have. And so it's actually a detriment to our industry if we don't share everything. We want, like I look at the students now, the level of students that we have now, and go, they're better than what we were when we were their age. And that's how it should be, because we should be learning about how to teach better, how to practice better, how to pass on information better. So people that don't want to share, leave them. There's enough for everybody. It comes from this mentality that there's this finite, and of course Oster, and string playing in Australia is so small relative to what's happening in other countries as well, because our history is younger in string playing. But we have to really be at the forefront of changing this mentality of it's mine and I'm keeping it. Yeah.
No, that's why I'm doing this. I have you guys from Canada and Finland, and no, it's brilliant. And it's like you all said, it's sharing, and that's how we learn. it's in this day and age where everything is so much easier with just typing it on the computer, where back then it was textbooks and we have to look it up and ask our professors and things like that. But now it's so easy. If I can't find something online, I just message Glory or message, somebody else, or Trevor or Laurie. I'm like, what should I do in this region? Considering I'm not from this area. So it's been quite helpful. And it's funny you saying that about Australia, Karen. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, I think.
One quick thing. I just wanted to address what you were saying about the downloads and things like that. So as a publisher, there's pros and cons to many things. So for example, our books, some of them are 144 pages. Our Complete Rudiments workbook is 256 pages. So now, Trevor, you're teaching, and Laurie and Karen and Lorraine. So if you are teaching and you have 25, 30 students that you're teaching, and you happen to be using the Complete Rudiments workbook, now you have to print. You got to go buy ink, you got to make sure your printer's working. You got to go buy paper, you got to buy a hole puncher, you got to go get a binder, and you got to print 256 pages times 30. You now become a printing company. So there's benefits to be selling on, for example, Ingram Sparks. So Ingram Sparks then provides people like bookdepository.com. So if you go to bookdepository.com and you put in Glory Saint Germain, it's free shipping all over the world. You can order as many books as you want for your students. If you are looking for worksheets or sheet music that is maybe 10 pages, download is great. So it's a fine line also, because when I think about, and I'm sure all of you can attest to this, not days, not weeks, but years and years and hours of time, and in most of us, money that we have invested. And now you want me to give you this one download that you're going to pay me $10 and you're going to print. I'm just going hardcore here. We're talking publishing company. I'm in this because not only have I published multiple books, but I need to be financially sustainable. I need to be, you don't get to be a 7-figure business if you don't use your marketing brain to say, how can I expand? How can I provide even more value? I'm happy to give everybody anything, but I also have to be profitable in my business. And at the end of the day, if you're a publisher, it doesn't matter how passionate you are about what you do, you have to make sure that you've studied marketing, that you know how to bring your product to market, know who do you want to serve, what's your target market, are you going strict to teachers, are you going to students, like who do you want to really message to, what's your branding? I've learned a lot because my books are also in retail. Share a quick story with you. I remember when I published my very first book, printed, as Lorraine said, too many copies, and went to a retailer and said, oh, I'm so excited, would you like to carry my books? And he said, well, here's the problem. I said, there's a problem? It's a beautiful cover. And he said, well, the title of your book is, I'll just grab this one. He said, it's, this wasn't the book at the time, but Beginner Music Theory or Music Theory Beginner A, but your title is here. Here's the problem. I'm going to put it inside. And now it says, yes. I said, oh my gosh. And that was one of the major retailers, Long & McQuaid in Canada, who they have purchased thousands and thousands and thousands of books from me, thousands of dollars through the years. But he became my friend. And if you're a publisher, you need to go to the retailer or whoever you're selling your books to and make sure that you befriend them and listen to them. The next thing I did, boom, all of my titles went up to the front. He said, your codes, it's great that you've got a barcode and all that on the back, but this is prime real estate. What other books are you going to be selling? I learned so much from him. He's still a very dear friend of mine. And actually they just did a big article in the Canadian Music Trade magazine. And I was so thrilled to be the feature article. It was 4-page spread, and I included pictures of myself and Bob Cole. And I said, he was my mentor. And I still, if I'm going to make changes in my publications or pricing, I give them a call and say, hey, these are my ideas. What are your thoughts? So these are your friends, and they are happy to share with you because they want your product to be successful too. And, I've been working with him for many years. And of course, now retailers, across North America, just reach out and make sure you're talking to the buyer, because they're the ones that, there's your customers. What do your customers want? Is it easy to consume? Is it easy to read? And I'll share one other thing. As a publisher, you want to make sure that you're including your website, freebies, links, especially for Trevor. I'm sure you've already done this, but if you download any of our materials, there's live links in there. Take the time to put them in, because not only will they pull up your page, but they'll click on your link and now all of a sudden they're reading your blog, or you're sending them to your YouTube channel. And, you know, we've got whatever, over, 500,000 views on our YouTube channel. You want them to go there to consume how to use your product. So those are all little publishing secrets that you want to make sure to use those live links, and retailers and everyone else. And also hang out with fellow publishers. That's how I'm going, Lorraine, how did you get into the other country there? What's your contact? Can you share that with me? And she can either say, oh no, it took me a whole week to find her, not sharing that, which I know she would never do. Or you can say, absolutely, here's her name. Let me send, and this is, I'm all about sharing and networking. Let me send a little email introducing myself. I want to talk to Trevor, and Lorraine will say, sure, let me hook you up, or with Karen or Lori. So that's really how we grow as publishers and independent publishers. And I'm really proud of all of us, because there are the big publishers and we love you guys too. But I think we're pretty proud. And just personally, I remember reaching out to a publisher who said to me, and I quote, but I won't tell you who they were, who said, come talk to us when you're bigger.
Yes.
And I said, okay. And then I never went back, because
No.
now I'm enough all by myself. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, exactly. No, I had the same experience in regards to the title, in regards to them saying no, and hence now I'm my own brand, Stringstastic, and that's it. You said no to begin with. Well, too bad.
Too bad. Yeah, it's fun to be independent.
Yeah. No, it sounds hard when you first start, but then if you have full confidence in your product, if you have full confidence in your materials, be it music or non-music, then just go through it. Ask people how it is. Ask retailers, the same as Glory. They said about the title on the top, it has to be visible. So have it done that way. What I like to do is sometimes I like to hang around in shops to see how it's done. Like I kind of just creeping into a store that I know it stocks my book, and I go, why is my book not on the shelf, or why is this customer not looking at my book, kind of thing, when I have time.
I've done that.
But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. And then you kind of change how things are, reach out to music store. So I actually had a couple of music store in the US that actually reached out to me, and I've never heard of them before. And they are actually stocking my books at the moment. And on top of that, it's reaching out to retailers. So I have reached out to a couple of retailers in the US as well. And it's all about Google. Never heard of them as well. Never seen them online as well. Google, and then I reached out to them. So they have also stocked my books in the US as well. So it's pretty interesting in that field. You don't have to just sit at home. I think it's more of asking the question. Like if you've got a question to us in regards to what kind of design you want, or what kind of paper quality you want, and things like that, it's good to consider. It is a lot to think about, I must admit. Like the quality of Laurie's books is different to the quality of Trevor's books when he first published, and the quality to my books are all different. And I'm sure I've seen Karen's books as well. The quality of the books and materials are all different. So it depends on how much you want to spend. Paper quality, printed quality, gloss, matte, and how much return you get out of it. But as Glory said, it's a lot of years for us to be putting into it. And the thing is, I am aware of people having my books and printing it for their kids. Unfortunately, that happens. But I think the way I look at it is, you have an iPhone, and would you like to have something that is like 10 years old or like 50 years old comparatively to mine? Or would you like to have one that is like linked to the wall? Would you want an original copy, or do you want something that's loose and second grade? Like what to you is better? Look at it in the sense of the kids. Like for me, because we're working on with kids, would they work better with something brand new? Like when you have a brand new, let's say a brand new shirt or a brand new dress, like would they be more excited about that, or something that's passed down to them? Yeah, something to think about, I think. That's how I look at it. But yeah, like my materials, I started out with these guys, And I experimented with my kids, and I find the younger kids don't really know how to read and write just yet. So I changed them to the mini series where it's sticker based. I'm still looking into that sense because a lot of publishing countries overseas, if I don't have someone there, will not be able to handle the sticker side of it. So it's still a new journey. It's still a continuous journey for me in regards to broadening that and to that side of it in including the stickers with part of the books.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys got any suggestions in regards to that, just throwing that in.
Yeah, I would just love to hear more about so we've got our book, we've done it, we've decided, like, I overspend because I love half Canadian binding because I want a spine and I don't want, but I want my books to open flat and all that stuff. So we've got the book. The next thing is getting it into the stores, and if like, you know, I get really excited when somebody buys one of my books. Yeah, I just sold a book. And I also do downloads, and my digital books, I've decided to not make them exactly the same. My digital books are expensive and they're interactive as well, so there's hyperlinks everywhere, so they pay for that time that went into that, and I do all that myself. I do all the artwork, everything myself. But then you go into the issue of distribution, which is a whole different level, the next level of publishing. And I would just love to hear what other people have to say about distribution, because that is the next hardest thing.
I think one of the things about distribution is I'll share with my own experiences. Number one, you need to have here's how it works for me, because obviously we have thousands and thousands of books because we have over 50 titles. So number one, you need to have a warehouse where you're going to store all of them. Then you're paying for storage and insurance on your product that is correct temperature so that the books stay well. Then you need to pay for fulfillment of the product, have shipping prices, and then ship. So there is that whole process. But I just want to address the coil spine on your books as well. So originally, all of my books were coil bound, and there's pluses and minuses. I appreciate that you're saying they lay flat. When you have books that you're publishing on Amazon, they don't do the coil binding. But here's the problem with coil binding is that when they're packing them, they have to alternate coil, 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 coil. Yeah. This is more time, and then they're heavier, and now it's costing you more for shipping. So there's a lot of things to consider. Is it a convenience or not? So for myself, in moving forward, we have removed the coil from our books. Either that or we have to increase the price, which I don't want to do. So and I think because I've used them with my students as well, so it's not that complicated to just, and you're right. The other thing you want to make sure is that your book needs to be over 100 pages in order to have a spine that you can write on. If it's only going to be like 40 pages, there's not enough thickness in order to have a spine. So it needs to be a minimum of 100 pages if you're using Amazon. But if you think about it, it can still be open this way and a little bit of that, and it still lays flat. So we had to make that decision because there's a lot of costs that go into it. And again, it's all about your ROI, right? Return on investment. How much is it costing you to do that? So I'm not sure if I answered your question or not, but you know, I would think about do you really need that? Then the other question is, when you're putting your images up on Amazon, do you put the image with the coil? Now I can tell you, if you've been on, Lori said, I checked you out, Glory. Well, if you went on my website, you went to the shop, you saw that the books were coil bound. And we still have a few that are, I have to go back and redo all those images, remove, never again. Note to self, you know, I've learned the hard way. So if you check them out, Lori, and if you order one, I'm sorry, there's no coil binding. So, but that's what happens.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's what happens, right? You learn by doing that. And I mean, you know, they've been around for a long time, but so that's, I think, what you would think about, Lori, Karen, if you were doing that, is the coil there, because I know that's costing you money. Yeah. One coil is, and here's the other thing about doing that. As soon as you start doing the coiling, it literally has to be done by hand. Yep. Like they do have a feeder machine that'll go shh when it starts, but there's got to be an entry point, and it's a very expensive process. And that's why Amazon doesn't do coil binding. It's time consuming. So, you know, I mean, but
there's another very interesting point for the small students who starts to play violin or viola. Yeah, basically the cases are the same size. I remember when my student came the first student who had bought my book came to the violin lesson. I was very happy about it, of course, to see my book in her
Yes.
violin case, but it was just big enough so it could fit in the zipper, you know, this
Yes.
yeah. So this is the reason I didn't put this, yeah, like Karen has. So it's just big enough. So that's also something to consider, how the kids use them, or if they are for kids.
Yeah. Well, mine is a teacher's book. It is different, but yes, I do appreciate that about the packing and the international packing, and I will be considering that in the next rerun.
Yes.
So like
Yeah,
my books, both stickers and non-stickers, and like I find in different countries, different printing companies are different. So the one that I have in this book, the stickers are actually part of it. The one that I had in Malaysia, it's a loose sheet. So so it's sussing that out as well. Mine is a little bit different binding, but for me, like Glory said, it's finding the warehouse, because I had a printing company print it out for me. And the thing is, I'm lucky enough to have a distributor in Southeast Asia. So she is happy to store that in her storage at no costs. She's just doing the distributing herself. So that I didn't have to worry about that. Ingram Sparks helped me in the American Canadian market in regards to having that available. So that's brilliant. I don't have to pay for storage. I don't have to be particular about the pages and them changing colors and stuff like that. I am stuck currently in Australia with thousands and thousands of my books in my aunt's garage. So, so that was my first editions that are still there. And in my hometown back in Borneo, mom is controlling that site. So she has my books stored in our storage over there. But yes, as Gloria mentioned about the temperature and all this, you have to look into the situation. You have to make sure that there's no bugs, so that they're not, you don't waste all those. And just protect it.
The print on demand, but also one of the things that I've had to learn the hard way. Boy, I should just write a book on the hard way publishing and all the 10 tips to never do this. But it's all about inventory management too, because if you have, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 sitting in inventory, so let's just do some math. So you've got, let's say 5K. So you've got 500,000, you got $500,000 in inventory, plus you're paying for storage, plus you're paying for this, and all of a sudden you find that your sales are going down. What are you going to do with all these books? So I've learned the hard way, by the way. So now I am a little inventory ninja, and literally our printer is printing, I would say at least once a month, whatever titles. There's a certain number that I always maintain in inventory. And if it goes below that, I go, oh, I need you to print me. And so she'll just go ahead and print whatever we're ordering at the time. But that's the way to be very clean with your inventory numbers. It might not be bad if you only have one book or two or three, but when you've got over 50 titles, yikes, that's a lot of money sitting in a warehouse doing nothing. So
but with the small print, it gives you flexibility of if you need to change it down the road, then you got less errors.
And one of the things that you just mentioned, Lorraine, so here's like the good news and the bad news. The good news is that if you print 1,000 books of your title, okay, now it's cheaper. So I'm just going to make up a number. So let's say you sell your book for $10 and it costs you, say, $4 to print it. Great, you're making $6 a book. But if you're going to only print 200 copies, now it might cost you $6 a book, and now you're only going to make $4 in profit. But the good news is that you're going to make $4 in profit, and you're not going to have to pay for storage or try to sell these books for 50% off because you can't get rid of them. So there's pros and cons. So as long as you're being profitable, the other thing you need to consider is that when, and Lorraine, you're in retail as well, then you really need to make sure that you understand the math and don't undercut yourself. So if you think, well, I'll just go direct to the customer, I'm okay making this, but you need to make sure that you have the margins, that if retail says, I really like your book, Lorraine, I'd like to carry it. And you can't say, oh, I don't have enough margin. So make sure that you're thinking through, okay, this is $2 to print the book. Then I would sell it to my retailer for $6 and I sell it for, to the wholesale for $6, and then I sell it for retail at $10. So obviously you make more money if you sell direct to retail, to your end user, rather, your customer, but you need to have those math, do the math.
No, there's a lot into it. Like there's the fact that if you have a book, you need to check to see and make sure that everything's clear and not blurred out. So that's one thing. And then when you convert it into PDF, sometimes it changes.
Yes.
So unfortunately, you do still need to proofread it. For me, when I first printed out, I've been changing it on a daily basis, but for me, I was like, nah, you got to get it out first, get it out, and then you can always change it, along the track. But there's one thing I like to point out is don't be skimpish on the cover. I've learned it the hard way, where this I've been told by retailers as well, is you need to be able to have books where it's when they rub against each other, they don't come off.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to have good quality covers as well. But I think there was some where the pages, you have to be very careful, because there are some quality pages where they do change color quicker. I'm being told. And then it's more of the thickness of it. Like what kind would you like to see through the pages, or did you want it to have like thickness where it's clean and cut, where you don't actually see through the pages, kind of thing. And on top of that, it's the quality of colors that the publishing company has.
Yes.
Because they're all different as well.
Your books are very expensive because you're using color. For my books, because they're music theory books as well, but we do everything in black and white. And I'm sure that Lori, you do as well, right? And Trevor and Karen, I'm not sure about yours, but because they're music. But every time, if you have one page that has color in it, you're paying for color. And then you have to decide, am I willing to give that person, even if we ship, and if it costs me $30 to ship a book and I'm charging you $20, well, I just gave you $10, like, here. So you just want to think about, as long as you're still profitable, because color, you're not, Lorraine's books are amazing because she's got stickers in there that I love. And
it costs more, by the way.
Oh yeah. I'm not that, I want to make sure that I'm providing good value and I'm providing education. And again, I think about the student, I think about the teacher, but I also know that it's a consumable product. It's not like a storybook in particular with my books, right? So I know that they're going to read it and then it's going to be probably thrown in a shelf somewhere. So that's it. It's just black and white, simple. And we have the thing that we have too that's different, I guess, is we have answer books for everything. So if you're an educator, it's really simple to just open it up, and all of the answer books are handwritten. So that's a whole nother ball game, because now you're doing scanning. So there's a difference between creating a PDF and turning that into a book versus scanning pages. And that's another story, because I won't even go there.
So quick one, I've changed actually my books from black and white to color actually recently. And the reasoning for my decision is more of, I'm starting to notice that people are actually photocopying my books, because they're easy to photocopy being black and white comparatively to getting a hard copy, even though it's so much nicer to have a hard copy photocopy. Yeah. So my new edition now are out in color. It's more of just to control the plagiarism and the photocopy problem that I have globally. I think that there are some teachers that do photocopy. So if they do always, and that's unavoidable. So that's always going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, can I come in there, Lorraine? Because obviously, with my publications being totally online, and I've discussed this with you before, and you couldn't quite understand my attitude about the pirating. So when you publish online, they can download into a PDF straight away, and there's easy programs now. There's that you don't even pay for. You can convert a PDF into a Word document on your laptop, and you can change it there and then. So I find my publications in different languages all over the place. So my publications are on page 1 invariably of Google. But if I go to page 14, 15, and 16, I'm finding all this pirated stuff of
Yeah.
mine, and it can be in different languages, the front cover, and lots of it. But
Mhm.
I explained to Lorraine once, I don't pursue that because it's really good advertising for me. It is really free advertising. And I get emails back from people that have bought the pirated stuff and come in and, come in and buy more. And they tell me about it. So I just actually leave it.
Mhm.
And I've never done anything about it because I don't think you can do anything about
No.
it. The
You know-
technology is there to do anything they want.
Absolutely. And Trevor, I agree with you 100%. I remember sitting at a business conference quite some time ago, and they asked, it was nothing to do with music. It was just marketing. And they asked the gentleman, he does whatever, 8-9 figures a year, multi-bolt, billionaire. And they said to him, what do you do when people steal your stuff? Meaning like copy and, all that. And he said, karma will take care of it. He said, I don't do anything. He said, I'm not going to go and get a lawyer and go. He said, it's a waste of my time. He said, what they have is they have what I did, but what they don't have is what I can do. And he said, I don't worry about it. So even for that, as long as you are happy and you're healthy and you're having fun and you're making money. I mean, I'm a business person, so that's always a part of the conversation. It's not the first word out of my mouth, but it's a part of owning a business, and it's a part of being a music publisher. And we can always put out more materials. And I have a quick story to tell you. So there is a college close to me, and this is many, many years ago, and I set up a meeting with the director of music, and I was really excited, and I said, I want to share my books with you, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they'll use the Ultimate Music Theory program for their choral group and for their orchestra. So I set up my meeting, and I meet this lady, and she said, oh my gosh, Glory Saint Germain, I'm so excited to meet you. And I thought, well, she was like almost overly excited. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange, but okay. So I go into her office and I said, I'm here, and I get out my book, and I said, I'm here to, sort of share my book with you. Many years ago, I was just new to the publishing world. And she said, oh, we use your books in our school. And I said, you do? And of course I'm thrilled, but then I said, well, where did you get them from? Because I know and she said, oh, we just photocopy them. And so, quick thinking that I am, I said, okay. I said, so are you would you be free around 4:30 today? And she said, oh yeah, why is that? I said, I'm going to have you arrested. And she said, what? I said, I'm calling the police because that's illegal. And I mean, I was jesting with her, but not. And I said, so, right inside, but she said, I don't know if I believe her or not, but she said to me quite seriously, she said, I am so sorry. She said, I'm placing an order with you right now. And she wrote me out a purchase order for 27 books. And they have taught my program every year for the last 10 years. But if I wouldn't have gone in there, they would have been photocopying them. So, I mean, some people do it because they don't think that it's important. But what I think is important, Lorraine, is this conversation to let industry people and non-industry people know that you don't go into a clothing store and just steal a sweater because you like it. Why are you taking music from hardworking composers such as Trevor and Lori and Karen and yourself, Lorraine, and just thinking that it's okay to make another copy? Drives me crazy. So please don't. I mean, give these poor people $10, End of comment.
Yeah. No, it's really I personally, I grew up with photocopy, I must admit. That's how I grew up with. Mom would buy the original books, but that's kept on the shelf. And then I used the photocopy. So yes, we kind of still have the original copy, and then we have the photocopy. But that's the thing. I grew up with photocopy, and that was what Mom would do. She would photocopy for students as well. But being from a small town, that was what we could afford to learn. Because But being in the publishing, in the publishing sector, now I understand the quality of being an author and the thought process in it, and how much effort it's in, and with all the mind and knowledge put into this, like now I understand. I'm like, guys, come on.
Yeah.
We are also one of the last tactile industries. So although I acknowledge technology is the future and the present, and we don't even know what the future is going to be with technology, but there is something very beautiful about holding a book and feeling that paper and putting it on the stand and getting a pencil and not like, I'm an iPad addict. I have my iPencil and all that kind of stuff, but I want my music on a book. I also remember it really differently on a book for some reason, because I can remember where on the page, and whether it's on the left side or the right side or whatever. I like turning pages and feeling paper in my hand. So, my partner's the opposite. He wants everything in the iPad digital world, and he just takes his whole entire library. I carry books everywhere because I love books and paper, and the boxes, when the boxes arrive and you open them up and there's just this smell of paper. I love it. I apologize to the trees. I plant trees, but I like, it's something that is for me another part of connecting with music is physical.
It is.
It's true. Yeah. Just something quick I had to comment. My original idea was to write all my books just so you could download them and use on your tablet.
Mm-hmm.
This was my original idea, my starting point, because I thought from there that, you know, I don't want to print it because it's more green to have it just on your tablet, etc. But how I met Lorraine, we were in the String Teachers Conference in Cremona, and do you remember how we tested your books?
Oh yes. They were sniffing my books.
Mm-hmm.
Because back to the paper, I have some connections to Japan. I was playing in Finnish Japanese orchestra for a long time. My father and mother have been both working for Finnair, the Finnish airline company. So I went to Japan when I was around 11 or 12 years old. And what was very beautiful in Japan is the Japanese paper.
Mm.
How it's made, how it feels in your hand, how is the sound, you know, but also how it smells.
So I had a whole bunch of European people, because I brought my books to Europe. I had a whole bunch of European people going, my books in a cafe. That was brilliant. Yeah, like we weren't drunk. I think we were having half a cup of something. I can't remember. Like I was so jet lagged too. But no, it was brilliant. Okay, guys. We could go on forever and ever. Let us know if you want episode 2 of the book authors. Then we could always come back together. But yeah,
yes, I was.
No, brilliant. No, we've got people that chimed in that said that they're from Canberra, Australia, and Malaysia itself. So I'm sure that there are more from different countries. So it's brilliant. Thank you all for coming on. It's been quite fun, and I know we could have always gone like even further from that. We could always go for hours and hours, but I know that's a little bit too long, I think, for all of us. I just want to share, next month we have what I have is I've got Barry Green that will be talking about the importance of you, and then the month after that I've got this interactive music theory, which I want to share with you all. She's got some virtual worksheets that are brilliant and very interactive that I've come across with. So, you know, come join us. It is a free event. Like I said, it's a monthly live event with Stringstastic. It's every first Sunday of the month. I think it depends on which country. For Laurie and Glory would be every first Saturday of the month. I think Laurie now would be every first Sunday since it's 1 a.m. But yeah, thank you all for coming. I'd love to have you more, but we just have to cut it short at this time. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Glory. Thank you, Laurie. And thank you, Trevor. It's been great fun of sharing all our experiences and stuff, but I can very much say that I think we all kind of have the same experience and, you know, drive in regards to how we publish and stuff. But there's many different aspects into it in regards to online and having it as hard copy. So there's a lot to think about if you want to go into the line of writing your own books and publishing your own books. So hope that all helped. Let us know if you want part 2 of this. We can continue on with that. So until next time, guys, thank you all, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.